Canada, welcome to Unit 2. I'm sure you're excited to learn about this great country in the world. That playing behind me was the Canadian National Anthem. But today we're going to focus on Canada's geography, and we're going to talk about their physical geography and their human geography. So when we talk about physical geography, we're referring to the landforms that make up Canada. We're referring to the weather and climate, what grows in Canada, and also any of the national resources that are found in Canada. So that's what we're talking about. So here's some interesting information. First of all, Canada is the second largest country in the world, not by population, but by total area. The geographic size of Canada is 3.9 million square miles. However, much of its land, not most, but much of its land is in the Arctic. And only about 5% of Canada is arable. And I know what you're saying right now, Mr. Knickerbocker, what on earth does that word mean? And that's a simple word. It means farmable. So only about 5% of Canada is farmable. 95% of Canada is not farmable. Another really interesting fact about its geography is 60% of the world's rivers are found in Canada. So there's some major landforms that we want to focus on. The first one, obviously, is the Rocky Mountains. And they stretch for over 3,000 miles from New Mexico, United States, all the way through the United States into British Columbia. They include over 100 different mountain ranges. Also, the Appalachian Mountains extend from New England, near our home, into Canada. These are mostly rolling hills, and these are smaller. These are not nearly as big as the Rocky Mountains. The Canadian Arctic Archipelago, say that 3 times fast, is 36,000 small islands. It's way up here, north of the Canadian mainland. They are mostly part of Nunavut, and many are unlivable because of their climate. The biggest landform, and probably the most important one that we're going to talk about, is the Canadian Shield. It's a large area of ancient rocks, very thin soil, minerals, and a lot of lakes and rivers. Okay, it is home to some of the world's oldest rocks and rock formations. It takes up about 50% of Canada itself. And unfortunately, the Canadian Shield is not a good place to live. Obviously, there's no soil. There's a lot of rocks. It's not really where you're looking to make a home. Another, a couple other big landforms is the Great Slave Lake, which is the deepest lake in North America. It goes 2,015 feet deep. It's the 9th largest lake in the world, and it's located in the Northwest Territories. The Great Bear Lake, the largest lake completely in Canada, is the 3rd largest in North America, 7th largest in the world. And then obviously another major landform is the Great Plains, and these are located east of the Rockies to the edge of the Canadian Shield. They're a smooth, large, treeless area. Canada's climate. Canada's climate really varies based on where you are. And since we know Canada is such a big country, it's going to be different based on where you are. If you're closer to the ocean, it's going to be a little bit warmer. The more inland you get, the more extreme weather you can find. So the further inland, the further away from the shore you go, you can find crazy temperatures and precipitation. Locations that are closer to the equator, so locations that are closer to the United States, remember, Canada is located right above us, are generally going to be warmer. The farther north you go in Canada, the colder it gets. They still have 4 seasons in Canada. However, and I think a lot of you probably know, their winters can be very, very harsh, especially in parts of Canada, with blizzards, ice storms, and temperatures that can reach negative 50 degrees Celsius in the north. Obviously, parts near the coast can be warmer, and their weather can be very similar to ours. Natural resources. Like we said, only 5% of Canada's land you can even farm. But what do farmers grow in Canada? They grow wheat, beef, grains, milk, vegetables, and fruits. What minerals do they have? The nice thing about the Canadian Shield we talked about takes up 50% of Canada, and you can't live on it. So what is it good for? Well, there's a lot of minerals there. Iron ore, gold, silver, zinc, copper, and uranium. Also a lot of natural gas you can find in that area as well. One of the reasons that Canada is a really popular place to go and where a lot of nature lovers love it is because half of it is made up in forests. Obviously, with forests, there can be a lot of timber products for cutting down the foresting of those trees, but a lot of people also like to go and view these beautiful forests. All right, now we're going to talk about the human geography. So this is the people that live in Canada. There's about 35 million people that live in Canada. It's a very small country when we talk about population. It's only about 1/9 the size of the United States population. It's crazy to think. The population density, that word tells us how crowded is Canada. And if you take the average of the entire area, it's only 3.5 people per square miles, which is one of the lowest population densities in the world. Okay, most people live in the Great Lake, St. Lawrence River Valley in the east. And what's a really fascinating number is about 90% of Canadians live within 99 miles of the United States. A lot of Canadians live right on the border. Okay, Canada is made up of 10 provinces and 3 territories, which we're going to talk about. They don't use the word states. However, their provinces and territories are similar in the way that we consider our states. All right. 60% of people speak English and about 23% speak French. And what's unique about Canada is both those languages are the official language. 97% of people in Canada are literate, meaning they can read and write, and their government is a constitutional monarchy. All right, let's briefly take a look at Canada from Google Earth here. Okay, so obviously here's our United States, and you can see now we're talking about it being the 3rd largest country in the world. Just take a look at how big Canada extends all the way up here. Okay, this is all part of Canada. We're talking about the archipelago of the 36,000 small islands. Those are those up here. This isn't Canada, though. This is actually part of the United States. That's Alaska. When we zoom in, okay, we can see, and this is Google Earth here, will do this for us, the political boundaries of the different provinces. Okay, so the provinces are right here. You see Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec, and also some of the territories, which we'll get more involved with, but just so you can see them. Yukon Territory, the Northwest Territory, and Nunavut should be here. I don't know why it's not coming up. There it is, Nunavut. So I just wanted to show you a quick overview of how big Canada is and then the provinces and the territories of it.